In 1989, the violence led the California Department of Corrections to build Pelican Bay, a supermax prison to house their most dangerous inmates. Isolated at the top of Northern California, Pelican Bay soon became the headquarters of the Nuestra Familia.
For me, I was sent to Pelican Bay in 1994. I was only 24 years old at the time. I remember arriving in Pelican Bay like, oh, I just reached the pinnacle of my career. You know what I mean? This is what it was all about. Pelican Bay, this is where all the big homies were, all the ones who started it all, the big carnals, everyone that's calling the shots and who I take my orders from. This was where it was.
I was in charge of educating other people, Norteños or other structure members. I started educating them on the bonds, on the format, Aztec history, how to make weaponry, war tactics, where to stab somebody. And I was educating people on that.
One of the people Epi Cortina trained in NF law was Willie Stokes Ramirez, an NF associate from Salinas.
Those rules and laws they have talks about striving for a better education, self-respect, social status of equality. All these things are in there. Being a youngster, I read this. It was like, I never read this before. I never heard of something like this. It was like, like the United States Constitution only was their Constitution.
We also educated them on their basic education, such as reading, writing, math. We studied business, how to, take over a business, how to build a business, illegal ventures, whether there were bank robberies, armored car robberies, murder, extortion, money laundering. If there was money involved in it, we educated them.
And it all sounded, like, oh yeah, man, I'm somebody now. It made me feel like, oh yeah, I'm really gonna do something for the betterment of my raza.
By the mid-1990s, the NF had thousands of members in California prisons. As these members paroled, the NF saw an opportunity to expand to the streets. The military structure allowed the NF generals to issue orders from Pelican Bay and to demand part of the cash from street crimes. They sent soldiers to set up regiments all over Northern California.
And what we started doing is schooling all these youngsters. They used us in order to go to school, our little brothers, our little cousins, Not knowing what we were doing, all we were doing was setting them up to fill our shoes when we were no longer useful to them.
And so you got youngsters that they may not be doing well in school, they may be getting beat up by people on their way home, and if suddenly this hand reaches down and says, you can be part of the cause, and we will protect you as long as you show loyalty, as long as you're a good soldier. That's a powerful, powerful message.
If it sounds good and looks good, well, they're gonna go with it. And the thing is, the way the NF operates is that they just continue just to pound it into them, pound it into them, pound it into them. This is what our cause is about, this is what the struggle is about, until you really start believing it. But little do these kids know, they're just feeding them a bunch of bull and they're just using them for their own benefit and financial gain.
25% of all money raised through street crime by Norteños is supposed to be sent up the line to the NF leaders. Moving up from a street-level Norteño to become an elite NF member is seen as a big achievement on the street.